Hey everybody, welcome back. We're reading Copper Sun by Sharon Draper, and we are now on to chapter 34, Lost Hushpuppy. As days went by, Amari had no further luck at catching more fish. She was starting to feel overwhelmed with exhaustion. Her head hurt all the time, and even though the others seemed to have recuperated from the mayapple incident, she didn't want to tell them that she still felt dizzy and nauseous. The forest had thinned and hiding places were getting harder to find. Occasionally, Amari heard wagons on the road to the east of them, and the sounds of farmers or their slaves working nearby, so the trio moved only in the darkest of night, and thus made very poor time as they traveled. Amari didn't try to find any more berries or fruit, worried that she would make them all sick again. Instead of eating, hunger ate at them. One evening just before sunset, Amari stumbled over a fallen log and toppled to the ground in a heap. "Ow!" she cried as she rubbed her foot. "Are you hurt?" Polly asked, concern in her voice. "No, feet just be tired of walking," Amari replied with a short laugh. She leaned against the log, planning to get back to her feet, when something made her decide to look underneath it. Dozens of insects, worms, and grubs squirmed in the unaccustomed light. Amari took a deep breath and grabbed a handful of white, soft grubs. "Safe to eat," she said. "I think." She closed her eyes, put some in her mouth, and chewed slowly. "Tastes like chicken," she said, trying to make Tidbit smile. She offered Tidbit and Polly some grubs as well, and surprisingly, they ate them without complaint, as well as some of the earthworms. It was a matter of survival. Night after night they walked, afraid of every hoot of the owl and howl of the coyote. Some nights they crossed small streams, which gave them a chance to refresh themselves, quench their thirst, and soothe their aching feet. Sometimes they found small water creatures like crabs or clams to eat. By day they tried to sleep under logs, in caves, in thickets. Their faces, arms and legs became hardened with insect bites and scratches. Amazingly, however, they had heard no voices, met no other humans in the woods, nor were chased by patrollers who were looking for runaways. Perhaps Cato had been right, Amari thought. One morning, just as dawn broke, and they hurried to find a hiding place for the day, Tidbit cried out in alarm, "Where's Hushpuppy?" Most of the time, Amari scarcely noticed the dog. He rarely strayed far from Tidbit. "Hushpuppy must be looking for a mouse for his dinner," Polly said to Tidbit. "Can I call him?" Tidbit asked tearfully. "Maybe he be lost." "No, child. You can make no noise. Too dangerous," Amari told him. "Hushpuppy come back." Polly tried to console him as well. "A dog can always find the boy he loves. He'll be back." But the dog did not return that morning, or by that afternoon, or that evening. At that point, Tidbit began to cry. He refused to get up and prepare for the night's travel. "Hushpuppy will find us," Polly tried to tell him. "He found us all the way from Mr. Derby's house, didn't he?" "Ain't going without Hushpuppy," Tidbit spoke to the dirt he dug his fingers into. "Tidbit, we got to go now," Amari said a little impatiently, as she lifted the child to his feet. "Hushpuppy gonna come back." They headed out once more, but Tidbit dragged his feet and kept turning around to look for the dog. The nights had grown more difficult lately, for the warmth of the sun during the day barely lasted past dark, leaving the nights cold and clammy. "Rain soon," Amari commented as she clutched Tidbit's hand, almost dragging him along. In her other hand, she carried the sharpest stick, which she used as a walking staff. "Rain will feel good," Polly said tiredly. "I don't think I've ever been so dirty." "Hushpuppy never find me now," Tidbit wailed miserably. Amari leaned down and picked Tidbit up, wrapping his legs around her waist, and they headed south into the wet, damp night. Amari began to wonder if she was doing the right thing. It had been her decision to come south, and she was feeling increasingly responsible for them all. What if they were simply going in circles? What if Fort Mosley didn't even exist? And she was tired, so very tired. She also didn't know how to console Tidbit, who was crying softly and begging for his mother and his dog. Finally, when she feared she could not take one more step, they came to a small cave. Amari looked at it as if it were a castle. "Do you think it's safe to build a fire?" Polly asked. Polly, too, was trembling with cold. "Think so," Amari replied. "Do you know how to start a fire?" Polly asked then. Amari looked around the floor of the cave. "Not sure, not like home." Polly grew thoughtful. "My father used to boast he could start a fire with just a stick, a leaf, and a shiny bug." "Sound like Tortel," Amari said with a smile. "Well, we have to try something," Polly said as she began to gather dried twigs from the back of the cave, looking hopeful. Amari found a big branch and dragged it to the center. With lightning quickness, Amari began rubbing her sharp stick between her hands, twirling it in the center of a large branch, the way she remembered her mother doing it. But nothing happened. Her fingertips, numb from the damp, chilly air, weren't able to twist a stick fast enough. In her homeland, she had started many fires, but usually with a burning stick from someone's cooking fire. Even Teeny's kitchen had a fire that never went out. Those hot coals had been carefully tended at night. Still, she rubbed and rubbed. Polly and Tidbit hovered close. After what seemed to be a very long time, a faint whisper of smoke snaked up from the twigs and leaves. Amari blew on it gently, and soon a small flame flickered in the darkness. "Fire," Amari said quietly. "Glory be," Polly whispered. She slowly fed the flames, leaves, and small sticks, until it became large enough to ease their shakes and shivers. Amari gloried in its warmth, for her head felt thick, like it had been packed with straw. She felt weak and dizzy. She knew she had to find them some real food soon. "Maybe we could use gun to get food?" she asked Polly tentatively. "We only have one shot," Polly reminded her. "Suppose we miss or someone hears it and finds us." Amari nodded reluctantly. "Do any animals live here, do you think?" Polly asked as they stared into the flames. "Maybe animals share with us this night," Amari said with half a smile. Tidbit fell to a fitful sleep in Amari's arms, his face drawn. Amari sat close to Polly for warmth and companionship, looking at the fire, thinking not of the horrendous fire that had destroyed their village, but of the smoky cooking fires that decorated the front of each household as the women prepared the evening meal. If she closed her eyes, she could almost smell the pungent fish stew. Suddenly, Amari could hear the footsteps of an animal pacing outside of the cave. She grabbed Polly's arm and they peered into the darkness. They could only get a glimpse of the creature, but it seemed to have a huge, furry head, and seemed to be looking for a way to get past the fire. It smelled of wet fur and fresh blood. "Fox?" Amari whispered. "Foxes have small heads. This one is huge, whatever it is," Polly whispered back anxiously. "Could be bobcat," Amari guessed. "Maybe we are in its home," Polly offered. "I don't think it wants us here." Amari looked around nervously. "We got enough wood to keep fire going?" "Not much," Polly replied softly. "Where's your stick?" Amari looked stricken. "In fire. What if it be bear?" The animal continued to pace. As the fire dwindled, the two girls huddled even closer together. The animal edged forward, and Amari barely breathed. The scraping and sniffing and growling sounds were right at the entrance now. Suddenly, the creature bounded over the fire. The girls screamed. Tidbit started awake and shouted with joy. "Hushpuppy!" The dog dropped what it had been carrying and leaped joyfully on the boy. Amari, so relieved that it wasn't a bear, started laughing. "I never be so glad to see a dog." "Where you been?" Tidbit asked the excited dog. He ran over to the thing Hushpuppy had been carrying and dragged it over to the girls. It was the biggest, fattest rabbit any of them had ever seen. "So that's why we didn't recognize him," Polly commented. "He looked so much bigger carrying that." "And he smelled like blood," Amari said as she examined the rabbit. "We gonna eat it raw like the fish?" Tidbit asked with a grimace. The thought of another meal of raw meat made Amari feel utterly queasy. "No, little one. We cook. We be safe in cave for now." Polly and Tidbit ran out of the cave and searched under logs for dry twigs to feed the fire. Amari found a sharp rock and was able to skin the rabbit, careful to save any part of it that might be helpful on their journey. The skin would make a good pouch, and she remembered her mother once saying that the entrails could be dried and used as string. Hushpuppy was given a huge pile of the leftover parts, which he ate with gusto. Amari carefully pierced the meat with a stick Tidbit had triumphantly brought her, and after the fire had been built up again, each girl took turns slowly turning it until it was cooked to perfection. Even the drippings were saved. They ate well for the first time since they had begun their journey. Licking his fingers, Tidbit said softly, "I miss my mama." Amari pulled him close. A sudden image of her own mother and all that she had lost overpowered Amari for a moment. Tonight, however, she reminded herself she must concentrate not on what was lost, but on what must be found. All right, so we finish up that chapter. Again, this is just another chapter going over the trials and tribulations that the three were facing as they traveled south. Hunger, food, not having that stuff. As the forest starts to thin, they also are in danger of getting caught because now they're closer to more civilization than they were before. So just going over that, showing how strong their bond is and all the trouble that they're facing as they travel. So yeah, we'll finish that. Thanks for reading with us, and we'll see you on the next one.